And so what
Yes.
happens is that when somebody slanders like this, what they're doing is they're undermining the very foundations and the things that God has set up in place for the purpose of punishing evildoers. And Candace, by making these judgments and saying, listen, the government's in on this, and just sending along
Yes.
these unverified, even though they were vetted, according to her, these unsubstantiated rumors and this conjecture, she's made herself the judge.
Yep.
And this is where Christ's command comes in. Judge not lest you be judged. Now, Christ is not saying that we can't make proper judgments, but in her particular case, she doesn't hold the office, the credentials, and she's basically on her podcast holding court, the court of public opinion, where she is the prosecuting attorney, she's the judge, she's the jury. But you're going to note here, there is no defense.
None at all.
Not at all.
None at all. But I'll go as far as to say there's not even an opportunity to cross-examine a witness or to even hear. Because a lot of the time, as we mentioned before with Andrew Colvett not replying to her, that's guilt right there. He's guilty because he didn't reply.
According to her.
According to her, I'm sorry. He's guilty because he didn't reply. And his non-reply is a reply, which is crazy work.
Yeah, that's just nuts. That's not how evidence works.
Right.
You know,
It
and
isn't.
I would
It's
know.
not even like Andrew. Go ahead.
The FBI is not sitting there going, "Oh wow, we got the wrong guy. We got to go after this Andrew Colvett guy, or we have to go, whoever the list of people is on here. We have to go after Seth Dillon and Josh Hammer and all these guys. They're the real culp." I don't see the FBI taking anything that she's saying even remotely seriously.
And if you ever want an exercise in futility, ask a Cantifa member, what is the end goal of this case? Well, to bring justice, to find out who unalived Charlie Kirk. Okay, and so what is the process of that? Mm-hmm. And their brains are going to start frying. You'll hear the circuits starting to, and the gears starting to grind. You say, well, how do they go about doing that? Well, they're going to have to go through the judicial process that you've just besmirched and you've just undermined by saying Tyler Robinson wasn't the guy that did it. So now, how do we trust that?
Right.
And their brains will start frying and smoke will be coming out their ears.
Right. Because at the end of the day, listen, I don't know if Tyler Robinson did it or not, to be honest with you. It's not my vocation to prosecute him. I don't have a law degree, and I'm not a judge in any court. I have the responsibility to judge false doctrine, and in that regard, sins. And what I'm seeing here, and the reason why we're talking about this, is because too many Christians are breaking one of the 10 commandments, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, and participating in these women's flagrantly obvious sins. She is breaking God's laws and commandments regarding how one is to use their tongue. And I would note, she claims to be nominally Christian because she's Roman Catholic. And my question is, didn't her priest catechize her? Didn't he explain to her the importance of the commandments and the importance for people to keep them? And so she's not keeping these commandments. And what's really bizarre is when I push back on her, Christians come back at me and are basically accusing me of nefariousness. You're not dealing with theology. Oh, yes, I am, because the commandments still fall under the topic of theology.
And this is the application of our theology.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's great to study who God is. That's wonderful. But if I'm not applying it when I interact with my kids or my neighbor or the barista at the coffee shop, then what am I doing? If I'm yelling at my wife and kids and stealing from my neighbor and punching the barista, what's my theology? I mean, it's almost like my theology's in vain because it's not impacting the way I do things. And so, or if Chris is my friend and I see Chris doing wrong and I don't call him out, but I know theologically that what he's doing is wrong, what's the purpose of me sitting there studying for 18 hours a day?
Yeah.
If when I see something simple like my friend not living according to what he says he's living, and I can't call him out.
Right, exactly. So I would note, let me kind of give you a couple of examples here, of this important distinction. I address what false teachers say publicly, okay? And because I have a noticeable amount of people who follow me, on YouTube and have been following, Fighting for the Faith for years, decades now, I get emails from people because they think that that Fighting for the Faith is the place to break particular scandalous stories, but it's not. So I'll give you an example. I knew about almost 2 weeks, not quite, but almost 2 weeks before the Mike Bickle scandal blew up, that it was going to blow up. And the reason I knew is because somebody contacted me privately and said, we have good reason to believe that Mike Bickle had an inappropriate relationship with a teenage girl. And I you know what I did with that information? Nothing.
Nothing.
Right? The reason I did nothing is because that's all private, and I'm in no position to determine whether or not it's true or not. Okay? So when he was removed from office as pastor over at IHOP, we noted that had taken place. But I didn't really officially weigh in as to whether or not he did things or not until the independent third-party investigation published its findings, because they were in the position and had the ability to look at evidence, to look at screenshots, to look at emails, get witness testimony, and make a determination as to whether or not these things were true. Similarly with Michael Brown, I was given maybe 2 days heads up that things were brewing with him, and I said nothing. And I didn't really officially weigh in until it was an independent third-party investigation, because I'm in no position to judge whether or not these things are true. So if I had gone public, 2 weeks before Bickle was removed from office and say, I'm hearing rumors that he had an inappropriate relationship with a teenage girl, I would have been right and ahead of everybody, but I would have been wrong because I'm just passing along at this point an unsubstantiated rumor, and I'm not in the position to judge.
I don't think people are able to understand what you just said there, Chris, because they feel like, well, if I hear it, if I get this information about this particular person, and it feels right, it comports with what I believe about the person, or whatever,
or what I believe about the government,
or about the government, fill in the blank, then I'm perfectly okay to share it. Which I just don't think a lot of people are able to. As the scriptures say, that's a hard word, Chris. That's just a hard word. I don't think many people are able to say, yeah, I've heard this, and I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Okay, let's focus on a phrase here. The Macrons. Okay. Call me crazy, but I think that Candace is going to lose her lawsuit.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why she's going to lose her lawsuit is because I do not believe that Brigitte Macron was born biologically a dude. Okay? And I don't think the Macrons would have filed a lawsuit against her if she had, because of the discovery laws and things like this. Okay? Correct. So when this all blows up in her face, and it will, okay, my immediate question is, what business is it of hers to make the claim and to double down and absolutely stand by what she said in multiple venues that Brigitte Macron is actually a dude? What evidence is there to substantiate this? And why are we now in dealing with and trying to determine what kind of anatomy Brigitte has?
That is a great question. I will tell you why they do it. I'll tell you why. Because Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron have a a very interesting Genesis story. Let's just say it like that. And again, there was some PDF file behavior in there, and there's a lot of wild stuff going on. It's wrong. It's bad. And they even mention it in the complaint. They actually mention that issue. They bring it up, and a lot of people feel, well, because this is true, that she was, close to 40 and he was 15 or something like that, or 14, then therefore the story about her being a man must also be true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I said, well, and I've asked people this before. I said, well, they're married now. I believe that she's a woman, but I don't have a dog in the race, really, but let's leave. But they're married now and have been married. What do you want to actually happen? Mm-hmm. What is your actual justice? What is the justice? She is married to him and they seem to be rocking along, doing whatever. But why? What is the result? What do you want to happen? You want their marriage absolved and somebody put in jail, somebody put in therapy? Like, what do you actually want to happen? And you'll never get an answer.